What's crackin', patrons and page pals? It's your friendly neighborhood librarian, and it's spoopy season. I don't own a dog. Now, whether Halloween is lurking around the corner, or it's already come and gone, editing timelines, am I right? One thing's for sure, it's time to finally dive into some spine-chilling cinema. Ugh. If you've been following me for a while, you might know that the one thing I hate the most has to be horror movies. Indubitably. But I still wanted to give a genuine, heartfelt review, so I started scouring the internet for a movie I would enjoy. Unlike most VTubers, I'm not just here for a casual movie night. I consider myself a connoisseur of cinematic experiences. So this whole sit down for 2 hours and hope for the best routine isn't quite my style. So I scoured the depths of the cinema for the ultimate Halloween flick. Sharknado 1? Cheesy. Sharknado 2? Didn't even know it existed. Sharknado 3? Okay, what's going on here? How many freaking movies did they make? Okay, that's odd. They're 6. Why? Either or, after looking through free Amazon movies, thank you, Jeff, I mean it, I decided to stop and gaze upon the glory that is the VelociPastor! Now, trust me, this movie's actually good. IMDb gave it a 5.1, but Google reviews lean it towards a 4.7 stars. So you know it's good when it's written by people. Even Kermit Frogerston, a bad reviewer, said, "Me, my wife Miss Piggy, and nephew Robin went to see this movie, and I'm in utter outrage. The detail, the CGI, everything was so realistic. The goriest, most brutal movie ever." Okay, so I don't even want to read more of what I'm supposed to be expecting. So time to get into the goriest, most brutal movie ever. So the movie starts off like all good movies do, with us really getting to know the priest, our main character, Doug Jones. They start him off at a church. I don't even remember seeing his house. I think he actually lives at the church. But that doesn't matter, because quickly we get into him waving at his very much alive parents. And let me tell you, this scene defines him forever. I couldn't stop laughing for a good 5 minutes after this, to be honest. But yes, Doug Jones starts losing his faith in God. After all, who wouldn't lose their faith after that most horrific moment of their life? And the priest mentions to them that the only way to resolve the issues in his heart is to go to the one place where God will not follow him. China! I swear they just threw the actors somewhere randomly in the woods and said, "Let's start filming," because I swear this is not China. But then again, I've actually never been to China, so this could be China. But one thing here that's obvious, if not already, is this movie's impressively big budget. Explosion. While most movies have an average budget of 36 million, importantly, I googled it, don't fact check me, this movie had an impressive budget of whatever loose change they could find in the back of Brendan Steer's truck. But back to Pennsylvania, they don't ever mention the town of the movie, but after googling it and find out that they filmed it in Pennsylvania, I feel like the series just makes so much more sense. It just makes so much more sense. And over here, we are probably introduced to the most cinematic character in all of cinematic cinema. That's right, you guessed it, guys. Frankie Mermaid.
And why is my name Frankie Mermaid? Speak up, Carol! I'm gonna give you
Hecking.
the boot!
Cause you're swimming in big.
Carol has to get Frankie some money as one of his sex workers, where coincidentally Doug Jones is working out. However, every time he maxes out on his squats, he becomes the legendary VelociPastor. Now, some critics might say that this costume just looks like a Halloween store bought thing, but this is all CGI, baby. They have one talented person just at work creating frame-by-frame drawings and computer-generated images of each gunshot and each bite. It looks so realistic. I can't even critique what it's going on because it's so perfect. They really introduced the VelociPastor in his most devastating and scary form, competing with Venom, actually. And Morbius, a movie I haven't watched either. But let's cut to the girl. The girl's name is Carol, and she drags Doug over to her house as they discuss the events of last night. This is where Doug learns he's part VelociPastor now, but obviously he needs proof. He's Christian. That's just how they work. So then they go to not China, or maybe it is China. I don't know if they're in Pennsylvania at the moment because there's trees, so they could be in China. And I swear, Doug is more surprised that she's...
You're a hooker?
A hooker? Compared to the fact that he can change into a VelociPastor. And he just breaks down crying. Also, before I forget, he really rocks that Velma dress. So we're finally out of the way of introductions for the movie. So you're probably asking, what is the plot? And I don't know, I wasn't watching or paying attention. I mean, I'm just joking. How does the VelociPastor decide to fight crime, you may ask? Well, I'm getting there. He kills Frankie Mermaid. Ah! And then Carol said, let's be good friends. And then Doug said, no, best friends. Montage time.
A friend is a friend to the end of the end. That's forever and a day. Stay by your side, don't hear me say goodbye. Come with me, 'cause that's what friends do. That's what friends do. 'Cause that's what friends do. That's what friends do.
So now we have all of our moving pieces. The ninja that wants the power of the raptor to, I don't know, become a dinosaur. Carol and Doug, who are fighting crime. And Father Stewart, who is against Doug, hanging out with a hooker. Yeah, they managed to fit it in the plot for some reason. Doug even manages to scream Bible verses that don't exist.
Enemy shall be vanquished with righteous and swift justice. Matthew 32:6. I can read the
I think they just wanted to find a way to create a line but not read the Bible. So they just added 4 new chapters. And I kind of want to read their Bible. And I think the Pope should be told about the VelociPastor while we're at it. Your Holiness, it seems one of our sons in America has discovered 4 chapters of the book of Matthew. Also, he can turn into a velociraptor. What is your guidance?
Keep an eye on it.
This plotline with Father Stewart could have honestly been removed without any repercussions to the plot, as his whole backstory really didn't serve a purpose. But then we wouldn't get the screen time with this legend. As I was skimming through every single actor throughout this movie, I couldn't find anyone relevant until I got to this guy, Aurelio Voltaire. And my favorite thing about him is if you compare how he looks like to the movie to his Facebook profile, you'll just see that he's just like this all the time. But it's because he's a musician. They gotta look like this. But can you guess one song that he's saying that you might actually remember him from? And if you guess what I think you're guessing that I thought I guessed but I didn't actually guess, then you're probably right. Or wrong.
Just a fish out of water from outer space. You can see that the trip has left me tired and drained. So why don't you be a pal and bring me some brains?
Okay.
Yeah, he's the guy that sang the Brains episode in Billy and Mandy. I really don't know how they got a hold of him, to be honest. But back to the story. Doug goes crazy and misuses the budget on Father and some ninjas. And then he goes back home and gives Carol a deep and passionate high five. I'm just joking. They have a sex scene for like 3 solid minutes. Also, I wanted to mention that the music video has 2 people wrestling, so I feel like it could be a metaphor of sorts, if you know what I mean. Also, the YouTube comments is exactly what you would expect. Finally, we get to the climax of the movie, where it's revealed that the ninjas aren't Chinese. Also, it's his brother, but that matters less. What you need to know is that last Tuesday, Doug was happy, and this didn't sit right with him. He should be happy. So he killed his parents. But the director, whether intentional or unintentional, made it a point to show that he's not a good ninja yet. Because every time he moves, he makes these silly little sound effects like he's from Johnny Test. So he pulls out his weapon and decides to just go, eh, while the hooker, Carol, decides to literally fight everybody else. Jones manages to finish his battle using the Force. Or something. Guess he didn't even need his VelociPastor powers after all. You guys try saying VelociPastor powers. It's really hard. Especially 10 times in a row. VelociPastor powers, VelociPastor powers, VelociPastor powers. Oh, frick. Heckin'. Gosh darn. We probably could have used those VelociPastor powers. So we move on to one of the final CGI fights between the VelociPastors and the ninjas until the real final villain finally shows up. And if you think this is the part where you find out what his motive was, too bad, the movie's over. So every good movie has a great after credits, and this movie is no different. We find out that our friend Carol is still alive and kicking, and they couldn't even bother dressing her up in a gown. I'm just surprised they took her to an actual clinic of sorts. They skipped out on everything else in the budget. But all in all, they live happily ever after, being chased by the church for whatever God knows reason, and they're now wanted for $1 billion. Well, I guess just the VelociPastor is wanted for $1 billion. I don't think the church actually cares about whatever happens with the hooker. So after watching that movie, I think I would have to give it a solid 7 out of 10. Like, memes aside, there is clearly room for improvement. They had a great joke at the beginning with the fire, and I never really laughed as much as I did from there on. But according to the wiki, the sequel is already on its way. I'm actually going to give you a little clip bit from it.
Thanks, Paolo. I sure hope that friendship can help me stop the sex maniac killer.
And the Kickstarter said they tripled the budget. Well, story time is over. If you like that video, please be sure to click one of my other videos and follow me on Twitch. I stream quite a bit, and every follow helps my platform grow a little bigger. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and Sakafa Shiori out.
He did the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash. He did the monster